The battle over transgender use of women's spaces rages on. Speaker Johnson said he will bar transgender women from Capitol bathrooms. But my friends, the story is much bigger than this, and I think it is not concluded. Sarah McBride is the name of the transgender rep from Delaware who recently won. Nancy Mace has filed a bill saying males cannot use female bathrooms. Johnson has agreed. Nancy Mace has doubled down, saying that males cannot use female bathrooms on any federal property anywhere in the country. This includes females using male spaces. Now, of course, most people aren't concerned about females entering male spaces. No one's really concerned about a female entering men's sports. In reality, actually, some women have tried to get on NFL teams as kickers. There's no rule barring them from playing. They just don't qualify. The concern is, of course, because men are larger, more muscle mass on average. There's a reason why there's a distinction in these spaces, and some women want to have separated spaces. But the issue, my friends, for me, is not so much about the bathrooms. And I'll tell you a bit about it. We'll get into it. So this is where we're currently at. And Sarah McBride has issued a statement saying, I'm not here to fight about bathrooms. I'm here to fight for Delawareans and to bring down costs facing families. And it is this statement which exemplifies my pragmatic concern over the transgender issue. Now, look, I don't care if an adult wants to go and do what they want to do and marry who they want to marry and whatever, right? The issue is the record and our understanding of reality, and it needs to be maintained because men and women are different. Now, if an individual wants to be called whatever they want, so long as they give me respect, I got no problem with that. I actually said for a while, my view was largely, you've got notably Blair White and Buck Angel. Forgive me for singling you out, but this is the example people use because Blair looks like a woman. Blair's male. Buck Angel looks like a dude. Buck is a female. You wouldn't want Buck Angel going into a women's room. That would cause a lot of problems. Blair going into a men's room would cause a different kind of issue, but people probably wouldn't really care about it that much. And so it's like maybe people should just mind their own business and we'll try and keep things, simmered down. The argument ultimately comes down to if you know that people are going to look at you and it's going to cause issues, don't go in that restroom, I guess. I don't know if that solves the problem, but I largely don't care about it. Largely. The issue now is this has expanded to the point where it's deeply affecting public record and our understanding of reality, which I will explain, and that's why I reject this. Now, let's read. I'll read for you Sarah McBride, the statement from Congress Representative-elect, we'll say. McBride says, I'm not here to fight about bathrooms. I'm here to fight for Delawareans and bring down costs facing families. Like all members, I will follow the rules as outlined by Speaker Johnson, even if I disagree with them. This effort to distract from the real issues facing this country hasn't distracted me over the last several days, as I've remained hard at work preparing to represent the greatest state in the union come January. Serving in the 119th Congress will be an honor of a lifetime, and I continue to look forward to getting to know my future colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Each of us were sent here because voters saw something in us that they value. I have loved getting to see those qualities in future colleagues that I've met, and I look forward to seeing those qualities in every member come January. I hope all of my colleagues will seek to do the same with me. Signed, Delaware Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride. I reject this. I don't care, Sarah, what you want to call yourself. Milo the other day said that's not Sarah's name. I said, look, people can change their names. I don't care what you call yourself. But you're not a Congresswoman-elect. And this matters for the public record because what is said and presented by members of Congress, be it male or female, matters in the greater context of how we understand our laws and why we have them. We have the 19th Amendment that there will be no discrimination against voting based on the basis of gender, on sex, right? They said sex. And this matters that we track in the record why these things come to be so we understand history. Now, where we're currently at is, it's getting wild and crazy. It's getting wild and crazy. Of course, my friends, make sure you go to castbrew.com to support the show. Pick up some Stand Your Grounds coffee. It's delicious. Everybody's favorite is Appalachian Nights, however, so I got to shout it out. Become a member over at timcast.com. But here we are. The Washington Post says the GOP is setting a trap on trans rights. Sarah McBride has an answer. The first trans member of Congress issued a response to cruelty that was a work of political artistry. Well, here's the big look at this. A lot of comments. Let me say this first. Nancy Mace is going this route for a variety of reasons. One, I largely think she doesn't want a man in her bathroom. I get it. But it's also deeply unpopular for Democrats. Democrats have embraced an issue that radicalized people towards the right. Most notably in the New York Times, there was a quote from a woman who said she wrote in Romney in 2020. She hated everybody. But then she saw the commercial where Trump said, or the Trump commercial where the person speaking says, Kamala is for they, them. Trump is for you. And she said this issue's radicalized her. And now, as crazy as he is, Trump seems like the normal one. This is the issue at play. Democrats have gone down a route that regular people do not agree with. The Washington Post says, Republicans have perfected a pretty good shtick for putting Democrats in a box when it comes to trans rights. This week, it was Nancy Mace. We get it. They said, then you sit back and wait for Democrats to do the decent thing, which is to stand up for the right of any American to be left alone, at which point Republican leaders step in to say, as Johnson did, they're not going to engage in silly debates about this. Republicans are going to keep on doing this until Democrats figure out why the issue seems to always work against them. They're going to say, you might have heard this debate right now among Democrats as to why they lost the election. Just about everybody with Wi-Fi has some brilliant explanation. One side, economic populists, say they've abandoned the working class. Some say that they went too woke. They're going to say, in other words, you have an ocean of voters who go to bed every night worried about their finances and job security, and they wonder why Democrat policies from Washington aren't changing their daily realities. Then they read this stuff about rights of trans athletes. They go to the workplace, send their kids to schools where there's an unrelenting focus on what's known as DEI. And so these families reach the pretty logical conclusion that while they're spending most of their waking hours worried about economic uncertainties, Democrats are worried about other people, which is why Trump's ubiquitous ad for Harris and Kamala's for they, them, President Trump is for you, probably landed as loudly as the collective psyche as any TV ad since Republicans used a guy named Willie Horton to troll Michael Dukakis. Anyway, I digress. He says, I hope Democrats were paying attention. The right there is the sound of a box collapsing. I'm not here to fight about bathrooms. Okay. Well, I extend this fight, my friends, and I'm going to give you some examples. This is the Wikipedia entry for Sarah McBride. Now, Wikipedia, of course, has no utility anymore. And as there is a bifurcation in the psyche of the American public, Wikipedia will probably cease to exist in some fashion, as it's largely an activist blog. For those that don't know, Wikipedia now says that Newsweek is not a credible publication, but Gizmodo is. Ah, yes. So Gizmodo, which is a blog that reposts opinion pieces, is credible. And Newsweek, which has original reporting, which is sometimes left, sometimes right, I rag on them all the time, is not credible at all. Now, that's incredible. It's a leftist blog. But this gives me the example to share with you. The Wikipedia entry for Sarah McBride, who is a biological male who was born at Tim McBride, reads, Sarah Elizabeth McBride, born August 9, 1990, is an American activist and politician who is the U.S. Rep-elect for Delaware's at-large district, a member of the Democratic Party. She has served in the Delaware Senate since 2021, representing the state's 1st district. Prior, she was the National Press Secretary. Okay, you get the point. Pronouns, right? I am not here to make an emotional or moral dig about the issue of pronouns. I'm here to make a logical, pragmatic one. That is, our understanding of how laws come to be and the individuals by which they are presented, it matters in great context. We talk about the first women to accomplish a thing, Nancy Mace. She's the first woman to graduate from, I think it's called the Citadel. Now, she's been criticized because she entered a male space, different than a bathroom, but still. And we talk about the first woman to do a transatlantic flight, the first man, the first this, that, or otherwise. We track these things. The left particularly says the first black man to do this, the first Latino to do that, the first Asian. They said Kamala Harris, the first South Asian and black woman to be on the major contender for VP. That mattered to them. Okay. Well, as the joke goes among Republicans, Trump should identify as a woman and then be the first woman president, right? Well, they would reject that because there's no consistency in their logic. I'll tell you what matters to me. Understanding the mentality and the facts. Let me show you where leftist ideology breaks down and you begin to not understand what's actually happening. Now, first and foremost, if you were to read Sarah McBride's Wikipedia page, it largely just reads like a woman. You would then not realize that when they say in 2009, McBride, they say she earned a bachelor's degree. Or I'm sorry, she attended Callaway in 2009, where she earned a bachelor's degree in 2013. It's important to note that upon entering university, Sarah McBride identified as Tim McBride and would be different in public record were you to search for it. That matters if you're looking up biographical history in an individual to understand their motivations or their life and the details around them. Saying that Sarah went to this place is Sarah was born in Wilmington, Delaware. No. Tim McBride was born in Wilmington, Delaware, to David and Sally McBride. I have no problem if you then say this individual, their name changed. And it's important that both names be in the record. But like I said, Wikipedia is garbage. Now let's talk about something practical. And I'm going to reference Leo Baker, as I often do, because, well, I'm a skateboarder and I know skateboarding, I know sports. This is the practical breakdown in the pronoun argument, which will negatively impact knowledge. The left will make every argument in the world. Not interested. Leo Baker. He is a goofy-footed American skateboarder born in Covina, California. He spent a year of his early childhood in foster care and became interested in skateboarding. Interesting. Well, he, in 2014, at the Summer X Games, won gold. Props. Leo Baker, pro skateboarder. He won gold in the 2014 Austin X Games street competition. Wow. I wonder who got silver and bronze in that competition. Well, anyway, I digress. Here's another skateboarder. His name's Nigel Houston. He is largely considered to be one of the greatest skateboarders of all time. Big fan, by the way. He's 29 and superstar in skateboarding. The guy's got skills that pay the bills. Well, he, being a superstar, has competed in many contests, where notably in 2014's X Games Street, he won gold. Wait a minute. Did two people win gold in 2014's Austin's X Games Street contest? That doesn't sound right. Was it a tie? It usually doesn't happen in skateboarding. They issued 2 gold medals? No. It's obvious, isn't it? Leo Baker's female and competed in the women's division. This is the point of the breakdown. When we're discussing the record and you say Leo, a male's name, he won the 2014 X Games gold, the implication and the assumption most people would make is nobody else won gold. This is the gold winner. This is first place. This is the best skateboarder of this street contest at this time. However, and I'm not saying this in any way to disrespect Leo Baker. I'm stating a fact. Leo Baker, formerly Lacey, competed in the women's division. Anybody who knows anything about sports knows, and I can't speak to any other sport, but we'll talk about skateboarding. You watch women skateboarding, and there is no way, never, female skateboarders will compete on the same level as males. There is there's an overlapping bell curve on average, because I certainly know some females who are way better than a lot of men. And that's what they say. A determined woman is better than the average man, but a determined man is better than a determined woman. I'm not here to tell women that they can or can't do anything, but you watch these events and you're like, we have never seen it. In fact, it took, I think, 30 years for a female skater to land a 720, something that was done in like the 80s. Actually, I think it took 40 years. Now, we have seen a female land a 900, and that's about 25 years after a man first landed a 900. And I'm not saying that to disparage anybody. The first 1080, and these are rotations, so just count the rotations, was landed by like a 12-year-old boy. My point is simply this. Sarah McBride is trying to enter into the congressional public record, she, her, that changes our understanding of reality as it pertains to the filing of these bills. I understand people change their names, but I think it's important that for the record, we know the context of male or female in all of this stuff. I saw a comedian. He made a great joke. He said, women can get away with things that men can't get away with. He's like, so I was out walking with my nephew, and this woman came down, and she said, ooh, who's he? What's his name? And she got on her knees, and he said, oh, this is my nephew so-and-so. And she's like, oh, he's going to be a lady killer. Oh, man, I'm going to come back for you when you're 18. Nudges him and walks off. Everybody chuckles, and he goes, I challenge any man. And everybody busts out laughing. Because if a man were to walk up to a little girl and say, oh, man, I'm coming back for her when she's 18, you get punched in the face. Because context between males and females matter. The idea that a man can just say, don't worry, I'm a woman, I'm allowed to talk to children this way. No. And most people would agree a guy going up to a child and saying those things would be creepy. And it is still kind of creepy to a certain degree that a woman does it. But of course, women can get away with it. I was on a plane once, and I was sitting in the aisle seat, and there was 2 like 10, 12-year-olds or whatever sitting next to me. And a flight attendant came up and asked me if I'd like to move. And I said, sure. And I was like, well, where? And she goes, we have a seat for you in premium economy. And I was like, jackpot. But you know why they do it. because mothers say they don't want strange men sitting next to their children. There was a viral story where a firefighter was on I think it was a Delta flight. If it wasn't Delta, forgive me. And they asked him to move. He said, why? And they said, well, the parents don't feel comfortable with a strange man sitting next to their children. And he says, I paid for this seat. I chose this seat. I'm a firefighter and I feel disrespected. I refuse to move. These things happen because that's just the way society is. Now, the left would argue, oh, you shouldn't treat men like that, I guess. I don't know, whatever. The point is, this is how people feel. And the knowledge of whether or not someone is male or female matters. So I don't care about bathrooms. I get it, whatever. The point I'm saying is, as Sarah McBride signs off as Congresswoman and she, her, this dramatically changes the context. Let me put it this way. This one's for Nancy Mace. If a woman walks up to another woman in a bathroom and asks discreetly that she needs, female care products, other women, I'm not a woman, so I don't know, but I imagine they'd be like, let me see if I have an extra tampon or something. If a man did it, that would be very, very weird. So knowing the context of whether this person is a man masquerading as something else is probably very important. They're going to try and claim otherwise. So I say this. Look, I'm a fairly moderate libertarian individual. Milo called me center-right the other day. I don't necessarily agree. I got a lot of liberal, economic, social positions. That's why I'm like, if you're an adult, do whatever you want. Sarah McBride, I will call Sarah. I got no problem. Sarah's not been mean to me. But I think for the public record, we can't play this game. So if you want to look the way you want to look, that's fine. Some people naturally look effeminate or masculine, whatever. If you ask to be called a certain thing, if you're nice to me, I say, sure, fine, whatever. But if we're talking about documenting public records, don't lie. Because there is a biological distinction between male and female, and that should be reflected in the record. I think it's important. So do you. Live your life. Don't bring it around kids, and the record should reflect properly. I'll leave it there. We got more segments coming up later today, maybe on the hour. I tried to do 8 yesterday because I did 8 on Tuesday, but it was just, I can only talk about so much because there's only so much to talk about. Smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Become a member over at timcast.com to support our work directly. And we got a great uncensored episode with Milo Yiannopoulos yesterday that was very funny. He insults many people, but it's funny. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will see you all shortly.